Have you ever ran into a car collection that was so amazing that you couldn't even believe that you ran into it? This is Ray. He was crew chief for Jeff Gordon in the 90s, and he won 3 Winston Cups with the Rainbow Warriors team. And that is just one of his achievements in motorsport. The guy has done it all, and he has one of the most incredible collection of cars I've ever seen, including Jeff Gordon's Rainbow NASCAR and the Daytona that set the 200-mile-per-hour record. While editing this video, I realized that it's just better to kind of just let the camera roll and let Ray talk, because the guy is just so full of knowledge and so fun to talk to and listen to. So this is going to be a very laid back video, and we're just going to be going through the collection and hearing all the stories that Ray has to offer. So hope you guys enjoy it, and let's check it out. Hey everybody, David here, and today we're here at Ray's garage. How's it going?
It's going good, man. Good to see you. Good to see you.
So introduce yourself and your history and what you do nowadays.
But I'm Ray Evernham, and I've been working on cars since I was 14 or 15 years old, and man, I've done everything from NASCAR to IndyCar to off-road to Pikes Peak to hot rods and street rods, and now we just hang out and have a lot of fun.
As you can see, there's a lot of stuff. So what we are going to do today is just take a fun, super laid-back tour of Mr. Ray here, and he's gonna tell us some good stories and some history, because I'm a car history buff. That's what I'm here for. So first things first, what would you like to talk about first?
Oh, wow. Well, you know, this is, we're still under construction. This is our new building. This is gonna be a converted showroom, but what we brought in here right now are a lot of my short track cars and vintage stock cars. I love the open wheel modifieds. There's some of these cars that I raced, and some of these cars I raced against that have a lot of history in the Northeast. This car was actually built by Jeff Gordon, the Daytona 500 winner, revolutionized NASCAR modified racing in the Northeast in the late 70s. Totally changed the way everybody looked at everything. And you know, it was Jeff's personal car, and actually had him drive it again at Pocono Speedway last year. So,
oh, that's cool.
You know,
it's like full circle around, you know?
Yeah, so it's great to be, I saw some of these cars race. That number 71 NASCAR Monte Carlo Aero Coupe, that's a Dave Marcus car. I actually changed tires on that car, one of my first jobs in NASCAR, even back when I was at IROC, but changed tires at Watkins Glen and then Riverside. We actually ran Riverside. And as you can see, looking through the top, just a lot of projects waiting. That's a Jack Ingram Monte Carlo. Mm-hmm. That car, the number 77 there, is a 64 Chevelle, but that's the way they raced those stock cars.
These guys right here?
Yeah. And Bobby Allison actually made the front end in that car.
Well, it's kind of like, what's funny to me is, like, I think that's where a lot of people don't know is, like, stock car racing, like, legitimately meant stock car racing.
Take stock parts and modify them. And then that red, white, and blue car in the back, that's a Bobby Allison. Actually, Bobby drove that car, won some races in it. One of them, the Daytona Firecracker race, but Dale Jr. and I are partners in that car, and we're trying to find the time and the money to restore it. This is a modified that I drove. I'm fortunate enough to have several of the cars that I won my last oval races in. I won some races with this car in the late 80s, and my last race in it in 1991. And then my last pavement oval win was in that number 2 car, and then my sprint car. So I've been able to keep some of the cars that I actually drove and raced in. This is a Wood Brothers car. They built this in the mid-60s. That, again, for those modified battles, these guys, the NASCAR guys did this stuff for fun, race modifieds. Yeah, it looks like you like a lot of the open wheel stuff. Well, I do. That's where I grew up, and you know, that's where a lot of my heroes came from. And back in those days, this was the way to get to Cup. Right. You know, you went through either sprint cars and midgets to get to Indy, but these things you went through modifieds and late models to get to the NASCAR. Get up there. This is an IROC car. We just did a mechanical restoration on it and got it ready to go for a good friend of mine that we've done some road racing and things with. So this baby's all ready to go, but it's one of the last IROC cars of that series that they made. You know, early in my career, ran with the IROC folks. That's a car that Kenny Weld built. Kenny Weld of Weld Wheels genius. Again, changed the way modified racing on dirt was in the 1970s.
Everybody knows Weld now, you know.
The guy really amazing. This is a vintage car. Gary St. Amand actually won championships, ASA, in this car. We're going to convert it into a vintage road racing car, so my buddy can go and have some fun with it. The vintage road racing stuff with the HSR series and some of the others are really taking off around the country, and it allows old guys like me to be able to go and play.
When I look at NASCARs like this, it makes me think of like when I grew up. Like that's like the golden age of the 90s and everybody batting each other.
Well, Gary was quite a champion and big winner in the ASA series. Back here, again, kind of neat up top there. Some IndyCar projects. The number 24 car is a car that George Fulmer and Art Pollard both drove at Indianapolis. If you look, there's a blue Camaro and a yellow Camaro. Both those cars are the late 70s to early 80s IROC cars.
Oh, really?
They were both IROC cars, and then both of them went on to have some history in Trans Am.
Oh, so they just kept on trucking.
Going, So we're, again, waiting for restoration. This is just a fun car to drive. Just a really cool all-stock 1936 Chevy. As you can tell, I might have a little affinity for Chevrolet coupes and sedans, okay? This car, again, really proud to have it. One of my heroes was a guy named Charlie Jazombach. Just a great racer in the Northeast. This car particularly, he won a tri-track championship in New York. Islip, New York, Long Island, Freeport, and Riverhead, and won. He won the tri-track point system with this car, and it was restored by his brother Ricky. And again, I modeled a lot of the cars that I built off of the stuff that Charlie did in the 70s and 80s. And,
sure.
Just a great guy. Unfortunately, lost his life in a racing crash in Lawrenceville, Virginia. But certainly a legend for what we do.
Yeah, you can tell it had plenty of action on the tires.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That little gray midget.
That caught my eye. I was like, I wonder what that is.
It was just these guys started building that thing in like the 30s or 40s. But
oh,
it's
wow.
a front-wheel drive car.
It's front-wheel drive?
It was going to be a front-wheel drive dirt midget, and it's made up of like John Deere tractor parts.
And they just made it work?
I don't know if they ever got it running, but like it was so cool that I bought it. I don't know what I'm going to do.
You're just like, I don't care. It's cool.
I don't know.
I think, okay, that's just like one of those things where I feel like I would hoard it just because I think it's cool.
It's like, what? Everybody's like, what? It's just cool. A lot of things that you see in here, like the car with the leopard skin top and the yellow number 7 car, those are cars that I watched race when I was a kid. So they mean something to me. 303 car is just as it came off the racetrack in 1973. And I got that man's autograph probably a little bit earlier than that, but I always loved that car. And when I bumped into his son and I said, how's your dad? He said he's doing great. I said, I used to love his car. And he said, he still has it. And I said, will he sell it? And he gave me his phone number, and I talked. It took me about 6 months, but I talked him into getting it. We were helping an elderly lady move some things around, helped her sell it, and this was her husband's.
Wow.
And so I helped her sell her collection, and I actually bought this because I did. Again, it's cool. It's an original 1924 convertible Model T pickup truck.
Oh yeah, I didn't even realize it's a pickup truck.
These are Arden cylinder heads, and they once belonged to Ralph Earnhardt.
Oh really?
Yeah, Dale Earnhardt's father.
Yeah.
Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s grandfather. This motor, who knows how many races it won. This was Frankie Schneider's 1952 modified champion who went on to win a gazillion races.
Yeah.
But up in the Northeast, Frankie ran this motor 3 or 4 seasons.
Wow.
And I've got his car, and this was one of his motors. As far as we know, talking to the folks at AAR and Justin Gurney, this was one of 2 prototypes, a Gurney Westlake prototype. I've got a Gurney Indy car that has a Gurney Westlake in it, but these are slide injectors, and this was prototype slide injector, and they were hand built back then. I think this, when you look in here, if you're going to mess with cars, you've got to have a place to put parts, and you got to grab parts when they become available. And I had a lot of parts.
Yeah.
When we're restoring things, you never know what you're going to come up with. I love fuel injection. Again, for some reason, like if I'm if I wasn't married and just could decorate my house where I live, I would have fuel injections sitting around rather than like art.
As showpieces?
Yeah, like, you know, like you walk somebody into your house and in your kitchen you've got some, you know, fuel injection. But, you know, there's small block fuel injection vintage, there's big block fuel injection vintage. We have actually fuel injection for Arden heads. We've got a couple other sets of Arden cylinder heads. Again, very rare and hard to find, but as I see this stuff,
it's neat.
I love it
cool.
and get it, you know, and I always tell everybody I'm spending my kids' inheritance on it. And, you know, we've got big block Chevys. You know what? I think we own about 14 big block Chevrolets.
What race did this one in history?
That won a lot of races around the backyard, so that's very, very important early in career. And as I said, I keep my vintage race cars. So my daughter, her first bicycle, we're going to keep that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. This is a Gurney Mustang motor. You know, they were going to put these in regular street Mustangs.
Sure.
At one point, and that deal fell through. This is another Gurney Eagle motor, backup from my Indy car, a Drake Offenhauser motor, a Dodge R5.
Oh, wow.
P7, and this is a complete running Arden motor for a hot rod with that has 8 Weber carburetors on it.
Oh, wow.
IndyCar wheels, tires marked, because when you're restoring a vintage race car, you got to have the right tires and wheels. So
is that a part? Excuse me. Is that a difficult part of the process?
Very difficult to
yeah.
find finding, especially if you can find new old stock tires and wheels, it's gold, because otherwise a lot of people are making repops and things like that.
Yeah.
But again, just the number of wheels and tires and things that we have inventoried, it's pretty incredible.
Out of all the things I think about, like restoration of these old race cars and stuff, the last thing most people probably think of is the tire. They probably go, oh, you know, the body panels and everything else in the motor, but then you're just like, wait, what were the sizes of the tires and the wheels?
And you gotta have
these. Yeah, it'll look weird without it.
These I had shipped all the way out of California, you know, and you're like, what the hell did you buy that thing for? If I told you that I paid about $2,000 for this set of wheels,
wow,
because they are original.
Oh, okay, so
they are original Holman Moody stock car wheels. Back then, Holman Moody built them by doubling up the centers and welding that so they wouldn't fail. And these things are as rare as hen's teeth. And I don't even have a project for these.
Just in case.
But, again, that's why I've ended up with so much stuff. What every guy wants, right? Mm-hmm. Every dream you ever had, you know, I think there's this shop it's been a really good changeover for us. The guys have done a good job. This is DC93. That is the real car that it broke the world record for 200 miles per hour on a closed course with Buddy Baker. The car has just a ton of history, many of the real parts. That car will be going up to auction, and it will be a big event.
That's a familiar face.
That is a familiar car. That car is actually is called Booker. We finished 4th in the 1994 Daytona 500, and that car sat in original condition in a museum. So it is one of the most original 24 cars I think that exist. We're going to basically do a clean and mechanical restoration on it. We needed to find some more correct engine parts, and that's what we're doing. But as far as everything else on that car, it was pretty much the way it left the Daytona Speedway in 1994. Cool. Dick Trickle, 1975. That's Puro Racing car. That's over there. It's actually a 73 Merc. And this car here, the Ferret, we'll talk about that in a bit, but that is an amazing little car with an incredible amount of history, and more so the man who built it, Peter Dawson, has a ton of history in racing because of his designs. He worked with the Goldenrod and the Bonneville run.
Yeah, oh wow.
He did a huge project for Chrysler.
All right, this is the one, huh?
Okay. This is it. This is DC93, and it was in pretty rough condition when we've got it. We've been working on it now for about a year and a half, and it has many of the original parts, including many of the engine pieces that are currently we're supposed to be running on a dyno this week.
Oh wow!
But we took the engine to Petty.
Yeah.
And we thought, okay, how cool would it be to have Petty do the engine?
Actually do it, yeah.
The Dick Trickle car, we're waiting on. We have a person I've been trading a lot of parts with.
Sure.
Doing a period correct engine for it, including the old Bud Moore box manifold. So we're waiting on that. Trevor's just going ahead right now and you know, fitting things like windshield and whatnot. But this car's pretty much done, other than the drivetrain arriving. And we're actually going to have a friend of mine come in that does all of the hand lettering and hand letter these cars like they were done in the 60s. Again,
the one,
you know, this car still has so many of the original parts on it, including Jeff Gordon's driving, seat, the electronics, you know, many of the things that we did. There's a lot of work that I actually did on this car that still exists. So as I said, I believe that this is one of the most original number 24 cars, Lumina, that exists from that period.
You know what's funny is my dad and I, we were in the stands at the Richmond NASCAR race. And behind us, this is back in the 90s, and behind us was a guy wearing a Dale shirt and another guy wearing a Jeff Gordon shirt.
Yeah.
And they literally almost got in a fist fight.
This car, this is the original body. The original body has been aluminum and magnesium. So Ian Baker, who's been my lead fabricator, cut this car apart. It was gas welded, and then English wheeled all of the metal to take the dents out and the shape. And he's been working really hard. This car is really cool because, as I said, it's a combination of magnesium and aluminum. It was built off of a crashed Seata, which those Seatas are like a Ferrari anymore. And so it's got a lot of the Seata and Fiat suspension parts on it. And the history of this car is really, really amazing. You know, if you look it up, just Peter Dawson Ferret, and we're digging more and more things up, and we're hoping to get this finished and take it to the Amelia Island Concours in 2021.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Again, I'm very fortunate to have some guys here that can take metal like this or like that Indy car and take the original stuff and fix it. Because when you know anybody can, when you bring something that's basically you've duplicated or put a brand new body on it, it's nice but it's not the same as the real car.
Yeah, it's the metal that was there.
That's the metal that was there. That car's become a celebrity of its own, and it's been invited to Goodwood.
Oh, wow.
So we're actually going to probably go out and race. We might race these two cars for fun, and then that would be mostly for exhibition. I just don't want to damage it anymore. I don't want to put it in jeopardy. As I said, that car has its own global following, and that's why I know we're doing a little bit of stuff for Valvoline, but you see the V on it. And honestly, if it hadn't been for Valvoline believing in that project, that car may not exist.
Yeah, for real.
And it has really reached a lot of people and a lot of interest around the world. And as I said, it's got a bigger following than me. They don't care whether I'm with it; they just care if
they just like the car.
Yeah.
So when it comes to Valvoline, I'm part of Team Valvoline as well.
Okay. Growing up, right? I grew up really being an IndyCar fan.
Yeah.
So if you look at when I'm growing up in the ¡60s, you know, the Valvoline stickers were all over the Indy cars, right? From Andretti to Foyt to whatever, like that was it. So when I started driving, you know that the Valvoline, that red, white, blue, your heroes use it, so you use it.
Right.
So I used Valvoline in my own stuff. You know, I can't say exclusively, because when you're growing up, you know different things.
Yeah.
But whenever I had to go and buy motor oil, I bought Valvoline. When I first started at Hendrick, we were with Valvoline. We won our first championship with Valvoline, and Valvoline worked really hard with us to develop, to get better and better. I never forgot that constant development, and that way when I started my own team in '99 with Dodge, Valvoline was one of the first people that I went with, because I knew I had a lot of development and I needed a partner that would work with me, and they were incredible. And I can tell you that some of the work that we did, not just at the 24 car, but specifically at the Dodge number 9 and 19 cars, still today there's tons of guys on the NASCAR circuit that are taking advantage of the work that was done back then in the development. And Valvoline has always been that. Legitimately, I have worked side by side with them in laboratory. If I called them up today and said, hey, I need this, and this, because we're going to race the Ghost on the moon.
Yeah.
Get on it.
They'll be like, what kind of gravitational force is there? You know. But this is a really cool car.
I'm embarrassed that it's tore up, but that was me, and I ran out of talent. But it's an incredible car. It has done some amazing things, including a win at Pikes Peak. Our win at Pikes Peak would have been 2018, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. 17 or 18, I can't remember. 18, I think. But so we won our class up there. Every road race that they've let us enter, we won. So we run the HSR, and they've been very gracious. But you know, when you've got a 1936 Chevy that flies past $750,000 Aston Martins, people start to wonder, you know,
where they went wrong.
Yeah. So we, so again, she's becoming an exhibition car, which is pretty amazing, because it has run some incredible times. It's run a minute 48 seconds around the Daytona.
That's fast.
Field. Yeah. It's run a minute 22 seconds at Road Atlanta.
Mr. Ray, thank you so much for your time.
You know,
it's been awesome.
And it's great to see young people like you that really love the history and understand the passion for this, because it's you know, once you get hooked and understand the emotion that surrounds these things, it really it's incredible. So thank you.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Definitely check out this man's entire history. He's an awesome guy. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.